Hi everyone, and welcome to the Meat Industry Hall of Fame. I'm Andy Hanasek, Editor-in-Chief of the National Provisioner and Manager of the Meat Industry Hall of Fame. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Class of 2021 Inductee video series. In this video, we will highlight Mel Coleman, Jr.
It's a tremendous honor to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Number one, because it's done by industry peers. And if I think back about when we first started, we were branding our product as natural. And this is 30 years ago, back in the 80s and 90s. But whether it was feeders or packers and others in the industry perceived that if we were calling our product natural, that meant everyone else's was unnatural. And so there was quite a bit of flack that we received from many of those in the industry. To be honored by those in the industry, it just gives me confidence that they've realized that we're part of the industry. And as it changed over the years and decades, branding of meat products, especially beef and pork, have become more and more important. I think one of the things that's always a challenge for those that are working with family members, especially with maybe their father, is that are you just a shadow, or are you your own person? And so the induction meant that some of the things that I strongly believe for, especially after Dad's passing, and the things that we did have gained that recognition that would allow this to happen, whether it be with the reduction of use of antibiotics or some of the animal welfare practices that we've put in place, both on farms and ranches, but also at our processing facilities, packing plants, as well as some of the other, I'm gonna say, do good things that companies do that are outside of the realm of their business, but help society as a whole. Obviously, Dad was one of the most influential people because I got to work side by side with him. And many of the things that I learned from him came from our childhood and early years in the ranching experience, in addition to the things that he did and we learned segueing into the meat business. Another gentleman that was an influence was a guy, Thomas Harding. Thomas was a farmer, but he was also involved in the early years of establishing and being part of establishing the organic standards that would go into the 1990 Farm Bill. And Tom was always a cheerleader for me and encouraged me to be involved with the industry and not just the company. Another couple of other people, Raul Torres, who ran our beef plant, not only knew a lot about the meat business, but was a stickler for quality, had the highest degree of integrity, and was a great teacher, but ran kind of an iron-fisted plant when it came to quality and making sure that we delivered to customers what they ordered. And the last one that I would mention is Jeff Trippishin. For his tenacious leadership, his commitment to every employee that worked under his authority, and the development and success and welfare of every employee. I suppose the one greatest accomplishment is the gratification that comes from seeing a hundreds of small family farms and ranches have giving them the ability to break away from the commodity markets, brand and become part of a branded program, and receive more for the for the for the livestock they raise and the products that are sold. I I think our involvement with nonprofit organizations like American Forest, American Farmland Trust, and American Humane's Pups for Patriots programs um, are some of the things that I've been allowed to do that I felt a great amount of accomplishment in. Um, and that's primarily because of all the great people that were at the company kind of keeping everything going while I was able to participate in some of these. But with American Forests, we planted trees on national forest lands that were in dire need. With American Farmland Trust, whether it was conservation easements or the promotion of branded programs that help small family farms and ranches break out of the commodity markets, um, or with Pups for Patriots, where we train dogs for veterans that were suffering from post-traumatic stress as a result of defending our country and the freedoms we enjoy. You know, I'm grateful that during some very, very tough times that um, that there was guidance and answered prayers um, that that happened during tough times. And so I'd like to thank the good Lord for that. But secondly, I'd like to thank my wife. For for decades, I spent a majority of my time traveling, and she was and has always been a very strong support. Um, has been a pillar in making sure that I did things correctly and right. Um, but most of all, it was her support. And then obviously, uh, dad and my mom, but my mother is very wise, and she was a pillar in strength when the Coleman Natural Foods from its very beginning. And then my other immediate family members, Greg and Nancy, for all the work they did in the early years to help Dad things get going. And then to my sister and brother-in-law, who um, my brother-in-law actually took us from pencil and paper on the kitchen table to computers to even to the place that we garnered a patent for um, a traceability patent with the with the United States government, and it was something that has been utilized and modified by other companies over the years as it becomes more and more important to trace livestock and meat products from their origin to destination with consumers.